hazardous. She's only 17, made us curious. It was a carefree time. How about we jump back and rewind? We were living on Winger and a prayer, just garbage pail kids with mullets and big hair. Let's open up another pack. Gen X wants their future back. Break out the denim jackets and faded band patches. Share memories, Polaroid captured. It's the Gen X marks, the spot portraits.
Welcome everyone to the Gen X Marks the Spot podcast, special edition for Veterans Day. I'm your host, Joe Augustine. You know, there's photos around my house, or I should say my parents' house, of my dad in his military attire during the Vietnam War. For years, I knew my history of the Vietnam War, and of course what my father had said to me. Being that he was in non-combat, I thought all the Vietnam War was for him was about stories of his guys in the units and working on airplanes. You know, the good stories, the safe ones. But there were whole chapters that he kept closed that I had no clue about until my mom passed away a few years ago. He must have kept those locked away pretty tight because I had no clue. I started seeing these signs after my mom passed away and he was alone in his home. Just him and his thoughts. He was a heavy equipment operator, a maintenance person. He was a first-class airman. He kept the birds in the air and he cleaned up when they didn't make it back down. I never knew that. I'm starting to see signs of trauma. It doesn't only live in the firefights or the foxholes. It lives in the wreckage. This podcast is for veterans like my dad, whose wars don't fit the Hollywood script. And for us sons and daughters still learning about our parents' stories. And for everyone who's ever wondered what it means to serve in the military, yeah, it's not always fun and games. I'm not here to tell you my dad's story today, because honestly, I don't know the whole story. But I am here to share a story with you. But I am going to tell you the story of a highly decorated helicopter search and rescue swimmer, a former Blue Angels crew chief #1 for the United States Navy. And the really cool thing is, he became a rock star. But before we get into that, his journey is one of an extraordinary transformation. As a Navy rescuer, he saved lives in many critical situations. Those exceptional skills earned him a spot with the elite Blue Angels as crew chief #1 leader. And then he later served as a Navy recruiter to inspire the next generation of the military and Navy. And unbelievably, he was stationed right here in my home area of Pittsburgh. So behind all those medals AJ carried, but he would call some invisible wounds. He doesn't talk about much of it in the interview, but we talked off air about it. But music eventually became his therapy. Today, AJ's here to share his story. From being a guest vocalist on the 2009 Queensryche album American Soldier, to working with other artists in the industry such as Tom Kiefer of Cinderella, Bret Michaels, Skid Row, Stryper, and even the hardcore Tony Danza. That's right, Tony Danza of Who's the Boss. Anyway, AJ, he's a leader of the Monsters Rock Cruise Artist Security Detail. And right now he's working security detail for Blackberry Smoke. And not only that, AJ has his own charity out there called AJ's Bravehearts. He supports animal rescues, mainly pitbulls, domestic violence and workplace sexual assault victims, and he works closely with veterans who also have invisible injuries. And he does a drive every year for the Marine Corps' Toys for Tots. So allow me to introduce AJ Fratto, a true American hero.
AJ, welcome to the show today.
Hey, how's it going, brother? What's going on?
Not too much, just enjoying the day.
All right.
First off, thank you for being on the show today. And I wanted to do a special show for Veterans Day, and your name kept popping up on social media as the person to go to because, sir, from what I've read about your military history and also what I've read about your career in the music business, I was like, I have to reach out to him.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been interesting. It's kind of like Forrest Gump. Yeah, I just roll into all these different things, just like a little Forrest Gump, just maybe a little bit smarter, but same kind of thing. I just keep rolling into all these crazy things that people wouldn't believe it really is what it is unless they saw for themselves, which you can most definitely do that.
Well, one of the things that I saw is you were the voice on Queensryche's album American Soldier.
Yes, sir. On your feet. Yeah, that was me. I was that
Yes.
guy. I was that guy. Yeah.
How did that all come about?
Let's see. Let me compartmentalize this. Basically, in a nutshell, there was a pilot that was on the team, Len Anderson. Awesome guy. Awesome guy. Well, he was a very colorful guy. He's a great actor. He's done a lot of great things. Captain Phillips, Transformers. Awesome, awesome guy. Awesome pilot. Just wonderful. Anyway, he made friends with some folks, and he was no longer on the team. He had already transferred into another position. He's a Marine Corps fighter pilot, and he had transferred. And he called me. He goes, AJ, I have some friends coming out to Seafair. They want to come to the Boeing company and see where the aircraft are. And the gentleman's little girl wants to be a fighter pilot when she grows up. But I want you to give everybody the dog and pony show. I don't want anybody else. It doesn't have to be. I don't want anybody else from the team. I just want you. I said, okay, roger that. So anyway, these folks show up, and I'm like, are you kidding me? It was Jeff Tate and his wife slash manager Susan and all their daughters, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But of course, I maintained my composure and was a professional. But I'm a high octane personality, so it is what it is. You can't really tell the difference. So they come in. I show them the Fat Albert aircraft, the C-130 Hercules. I show them the F-18 Hornets, all that good stuff. It was pretty cool. At that time, I was the commanding officer's crew chief, so I took them around the one jet, and they were like, wow, like the shock and awe of it. It's so cool to be up near these aircraft so close. And I was just really excited. I want to give them a great time. Got them something to eat, got them some, mementos, some little trinkets and such for the Blue Angels. And then it was getting time to go. So we were getting in the vehicle and to take them off Boeing's premises. So basically, we're getting ready to go, and Jeff Tate turns and he looks at me and he goes, you're a machine of a man. Kind of like the mind crime voice. Da, na, 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 mind crime. So I'm like, holy crow, man, this is really crazy. This is really, really crazy. And he was just smiling, and everybody had a great day. Susan was wonderful. The girls were wonderful. Little Bella, everything happened for me musically because of a little girl named Bella. She's a wonderful, well, she was a little girl, beautiful little girl. Now she's a wonderful woman with a family of her own, doing great things in life. And I will always be grateful to the Tate family for the opportunity. And I will always be grateful to the entire band, Scott, Whip, Eddie, those guys were there at the time. And even all the guys that are there now, like, Todd and, Mike and, which Mike was back and forth at the time. And, Casey, everybody's wonderful people, man. I love them all. I love them all. And then 3 years later, I was in an airport in Atlanta on my way to Pensacola because I was now living as a recruiter in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I get a random phone call from
I've
Mount
never
Lebo.
heard of that place.
Mount Lebo. Yeah, I know you wouldn't have no idea where they are, right?
Right.
The Yinzers.
Absolutely.
So I get this random phone call from Susan Tate, and she goes, hey, AJ, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm sitting on my suitcase waiting to go to Pensacola. I won this award for recruiting as an honest recruiter, mind you, honest recruiter.
Right.
And so with that said, she goes, oh, well, I thought you were out of the, I said, no, I'm not out of the Navy, but I said, what's up? She goes, well, we have this album that Jeff's, working on right now, the storyline, writing it and everything, kind of like Mind Crime, but militarily. I'm like, oh, really? They're like, yeah. She's like, yeah, we're going to call it American Soldier. And You're the guy. You're the guy we want. We don't want anybody. We just want you. I'm like, what? Like, yeah. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? And she's like, well, you're gonna sing some songs and all that good stuff. And I'm like, wow. I was just like kind of really in shock about it. But I said, well, I'm not. I got a lot of years left of the Navy. I'm not. She goes, well, you could still sing on the record, right? I said, yeah. Well, yeah, I did. I was on Sliver, the song Sliver, primarily. Let me backtrack a little bit. So basically, before they called me, at that time, I always sang in a band, and people like, would say, he's like the heavy metal Tom Jones. So basically, what happened is there was back in the MySpace days, I don't know if they got it from an article or some caption that somebody said, I don't know, but it said, Blue Angel crew chief, AJ Fratto, Blue Angel crew chief, is the heavy metal Tom Jones. Well, they saw that. They had already met me. They correlated it. They liked it. They got a kick out of it. And they called me. So basically, it wasn't just, and Jeff would even tell people, AJ didn't, we just didn't hand it to him. He had to earn it, and he said, AJ's a great singer. He earned it. So I was really proud of that. So even though on the album I'm more like a glorified Beastie Boy, it's not really using my entire what you want. No, I wasn't really getting to utilize my true singing voice. But still in all, I got to perform on the record. I did some voiceover stuff, military related, I'll back up some stuff like on Sliver. And Sliver is about like when a young guy or gal, they go to boot camp and they get broken down and rebuilt back up like a Superman. That's what Sliver is about. So it's a pretty good song, and the album in general takes you on a path through these military stories of all these people who had served. And I hope one day the album gets the credit it deserves, because it really is an amazing album. And I'm not just saying that because I was included on it. It was an honor. But American Soldier, if you haven't heard it, listen to it from the beginning to the end. And especially this day and age, you'll have a hell of a lot more respect for what a military member goes through in general, the American soldier in general. So yeah, check it out. And it all happened because of a little girl. And that led to everything else that's going on. So I'm very, very grateful to these people. It led to all this other stuff.
Well, hopefully if we can go back and revisit that album, the veterans, they do not get the respect that they deserve.
Well, the people only care about them when something hits the fan. And, that's going to be happening more now than ever. And if they don't start churning out the kind of people they need to defend this country, we're in much bigger trouble. So, there's no participation trophies in this kind of a field. There should be no participation trophy in anything. You got to earn it. You got to earn your keep. You got to have respect for people. This day and age, things are not what they should be, and they need to get back to the core values of life.
Amen, brother, on that. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm really grateful for the opportunities that I've had, and I will always be loyal and respectful to every individual who has ever given me one. And I'm that guy, man. It's like Frankie Valli. I do everything with eye contact and a heavy handshake. I have nothing more to offer you than my hand and my heart. And that's what you're going to get. My undivided attention and loyalty. If you're good to me, I'll give you the world.
And that's what this country was built on originally, right there.
That's right. That's right, man. True grit, baby. True grit, honor, courage, and commitment. That's what it's all about. When people came to this country and they had a dream and they had a vision and they wanted to earn it, they wanted to love it, they wanted to give back to it. They gave it all. They prayed for it, and they delivered. They delivered. That was a time and an era that was great, and it was beautiful. Now, that doesn't mean times weren't hard. They were very difficult. They were very, very hard, and it was not pleasant. But those people earned everything. They didn't just get it for no reason. And that's the thing this day and age. You got to teach these children chivalry. You have to teach them respect. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. You should have no other condition involved in that other than the core values of life. And that is just teaching your kids well, teaching them to be good human beings. Not that they deserve something more or less than anybody else. They should always earn it. And if you believe, you achieve, baby. That's it.
Speaking to the machine of a man, quickly review, because I know you said you are on a little time constraint. Could you go over your military history with me?
Okay, well, there's a couple things. First of all, I didn't start as a Blue Angel. Okay, I started as a proud United States Navy search and rescue swimmer, helicopters. Okay, and a lot of people get that, misconstrued. I was a helicopter search and rescue swimmer, a SAR dog. I was not a SEAL. I was not a SEAL. I am a proud helicopter rescue swimmer. So I got to say that first, because a lot of people look at me, they look at old pictures, they just assume or they think they heard something that they didn't. I was a rescue swimmer. And so from there on, there you go. Then I met some guys I went up in rank, and I had to go to this leadership school, and I met a bunch of people, and I was picked as the honor man of the class. They're like, "Man, we love you. You're like a human cartoon. You're like the Tick, that big cartoon, the Tick." If you ever
Right.
see it, he's like this big crazy guy. Anyway, so they're like, you should come with us. I said, dude, I'm an athlete. I wear a wetsuit for a living. I'm not you got to be the best of the best to be a Blue Angel. I'm not a mechanic. I can't do any of that stuff. They're like, dude, they could teach you to be a crew chief. You could do all kinds of stuff. I'm like, no way, man, no way. Well, eventually they got me thinking. I was a little boy with dyslexia and couldn't tell time. I was scared to death, even though I outgrew it, so to speak, or I worked through it. I was scared to death. You're talking about a $35 million jet. You're going to put a happy-go-lucky psychopath in the cockpit of a fighter jet, for Christ's sake. I wear a wetsuit and flippers for a living. That's quite the contrast. You know what I'm saying? So basically, I met some people, and I had to write an essay. They took pictures from head to toe, because back then you had to be poster quality. It's not like today where they're afraid to hurt people's feelings. No, you had to be the shit. Period. No matter where you were, where you came from. And it should be like that in the military or anything. You shouldn't just get by, okay? You should be the shit. So anyway, these people brought me in. I wrote an essay, and I had to talk to all the officers, all the chiefs, all the workshop supervisors, and basically people get like the gist of who you are. And then it's like when they go to decide if you make the team or not, it's like Caesar, thumb up or thumb down, So
Yeah.
back then that's what it is. Now they just pop it out of the computer and you go. But not then, boy. You had to be the Uno from wherever you came from. So when you're with a bunch of other Unos, that's not very easy. But if you believe in teamwork and dedication, everybody comes together. It's a beautiful thing. So yes, started as a rescue swimmer. Then I was a Blue Angel crew chief. And what that entails, if that's what you want me to tell you about, you want me to tell you what I did?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I started with the number 2 jet, Jack, and then I went to the opposing solo, Merlin, and then he turned into the next year, he turned into the lead solo, the guy that goes and scares the hell out of everybody coming from behind, scares
Yeah,
number 5.
I've seen them. Yes.
Yes. So I was with Merlin, and then my final year I was with the boss, Mr. Foley. So that's Blue Angel Uno, number 1. And so I was his guy the last year. But what a Blue Angel crew chief does, first of all, let me make this clear. Everybody on that team is the best at what they do. Everybody is an integral part. It's not just the guy you see getting out of the cockpit that's not the pilot. It's every single person, every single maintainer, every single Navy, Marine Corps representative. Every one of them is what fulfills the mission of the Blue Angels. So I want to say that first and foremost. It's not just the guys you see, popping out that everybody sees on the TV. Anyway, my point is, as a crew chief, every day we go in and we inspect the aircraft, from head to toe, beautify it, whatever it takes. We get into the cockpit, we check everything out. We run up the APU, the number 2, number 1 engines, look at all the flight controls, look at all the, the indicators, the pressures, everything. Navigation, waypoints, like you're like a human GPS. You take these publications and you type everything in to the radios. You do everything pretty much the pilot does except fly it. We do not fly it. Well, we get it all set up so that pilot can get in and do an amazing air show in front of millions of people. And a lot of work gets put in by a lot of people to make that happen. So when you see the crew chief out there doing his little dance with the in a salute with the pilot, there's a lot that goes into it that leads up to it before you get to that point. That's why you have the best of the people that are working on these aircraft, and even in the administrative offices. Everybody is amazing on the Blue Angels. And I'm happy just to be a little teeny part of it.
Well, I have to thank you again, for being a part of the Blue Angels and your military history.
Yeah, man, it was, I'll tell you right now, another reason why I am the way I am and why I'm so grateful and thankful is because, remember, before I got to be, being a Blue Angel, bro, is bigger than being a rock star. And I kind of know about both of them. But, I don't know anybody else that can go through San Francisco with a motorcade of 30 motorcycles and helicopters and police cars, getting brought down to the pier. I never seen a movie star, rock star do that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the Blue Angels, there's so many things I could tell you that are just insane. But what I will tell you is it all led up from this. When you're a rescue swimmer, you're out there, you're jumping out of a helicopter. There could be wreckage, there could be fire, there could be blood, guts, predators, and they're all out there. But I will tell you, being a rescue swimmer, one of the proudest moments was, being able to save somebody's life. But one of the most humbling moments, and this is where I'm going with all of this, no matter what I've got to do militarily or musically related, as a rescue swimmer, there is nothing, and I say nothing, more humbling than swimming through another man's flesh. So, and I've done that. So for anybody out there complaining about their life and how they think they deserve everything for nothing, just remember what I just said. There is nothing more humbling than swimming through another man's flesh.
I'm sure you have some stories to tell, but
It's just simple, man. Life is beautiful. Live your life. Love your life. Be grateful for what you have. And if you were in a position to earn what you got, be happy with it. Don't complain about it. I'll tell you right now, David Lee Roth said, I sell smiles for a living. So David Lee Roth, I love his quote. David Lee Roth said, sell smiles for a living. Well, I'm AJ Fratto, and I facilitate them. Yeah, I'm a big, strong guy. I guess you could say I don't like the term bodyguard or security guy, artist. I consider myself a goodwill ambassador. That's what I consider myself, a goodwill ambassador. And so basically, I'm grateful that I get to do that. Sometimes I'm in the shadows protecting someone or watching over someone, and sometimes I'm on center stage spreading those smiles. And I do that as a goodwill ambassador. I do that as a VIP host, and all of it goes to charity. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
And speaking of charity, you do have your own charity out there through your own band, AJ
Yes.
and the Bravehearts.
Yeah, AJ's Bravehearts is a 501c3 charity rock band. And when my time in the military ended, you can't just take a guy that's in all alpha programs and put him out to pasture. And that's kind of like what happened. So my wife, started, a 501c3 charity in the form of a rock band. So basically, I have stellar musicians, like all-star kind of guys, and from time to time I go out and I play shows, and that helps me help other people and animals. So I love it. So all about spreading the love and the joy through the love and healing power of music.
Well, I think you're being a little bit humble. I know you talked right now just about saving animals, their pit bulls specifically. Also, you're working with veterans and women who are sexually abused in the workplace.
Yes, well, I can't go around being a vigilante. And so basically, it started with pit bulls because they're misunderstood, and so am I. I'm a high octane guy, but that love is genuine as the intensity that, people see. They're like, wow, this guy's something else. But the people who really get it, they got it, and they have it forever because they know. There's some people, I'm like a human hurricane, brother. People can only handle me for a little while. It starts out great. People will be like, I love this guy, but then they can't handle what I am. See, the problem is I don't have an agenda. You don't have to look over your shoulder with me. Once I love you, I love you. But that doesn't mean everybody else is like that. They're not like me. So they're always thinking, this guy's too good to be true. I've had some of the biggest artists in the world tell me you're too good to be true. And it hurts because I only am what I am. I'm not going to change, and I don't change for anybody else. I stand by my principles, and I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you have, how famous you are. If I can't respect you, then I can't be with you. I don't care who you are. I really don't care. But if I love you, I will get blood from a stone for you.
That's right there from the heart, man. I can tell.
There's no other way to be, brother. There's no other way to be. Even with the circumstances that have happened in my life, and we all have our circumstances, it's nobody else's fault, so to speak. You can't just say, oh, I'm a product of my environment. Oh, woe is me. Get up and do something about it. You're not a product of your environment. And if you are, in a good way, take those traits and use them for the greater good of all. But if you come from a place in a situation, maybe a family, or that was a little less than desirable, a background, bad things happen to you, that doesn't mean you have to stay stuck in that. You don't have to stay stuck in that. Rise above those circumstances. Earn everything. It's yours if you want it. I have hurt myself in ways from the perspective of this. I give everything I have, and some people like, wow, this guy's something else. And some people take advantage of it. I've been grossly taken advantage of, but I don't change, because at the end of the day, I know there's the right people out there that will love and respect what I'm about. I realize that I've lived the life of 10 men. It doesn't matter how much anybody has more than me or not. They have never and will never live a life like me. You can have it all and still have nothing. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So back to when I told you I was kind of like Forrest Gump, just a little smarter. I have run into all these, just odd situations that were larger than life kind of, stories, and
Right.
nobody's going to believe you unless they lived it with you. And, I've had some people I grew up with, I would tell them something like, you're full of crap, man. You're full of crap. And I'm like, no. And then when they saw it for themselves, they're like, you could tell me, there's an alien living in your house, and I would believe you. So now now the tables have turned. Now when I say something, it's believed. But I don't talk the talk. I walk the walk. There's a big difference.
Spoken like a true red, white, and blue vet.
Braveheart, baby. Braveheart. I consider myself the honest Robin Hood. And I love that, because Braveheart, the story of, Robin Hood, was formed after William Wallace. A lot of people don't know that.
No.
But yeah, freedom. It's a beautiful thing. And I just wish that people would, lay off the TV and the rhetoric and all the baloney, and get to the meat and potatoes of life. And that's digging in, doing the work, learning, being educated. There's so many idiots out there right now that are just spewing their hate. Just be real, baby. Just be real, man. Like I told you, we're all little notes in the big sheet of music. We got to be in harmony, man. We got to. It's the only way it's going to work.
And to think, you had said earlier that all of this musical career of yours started with Jeff Tate's daughter, but
Little Bella. Mm-hmm.
But your whole military career started just by watching Top Gun when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah. So my dad took me and my brothers, Mike and Maddie, I think it was 1986. He took us to the movie theater to see Top Gun. And when I saw that rescue swimmer, unfortunately Goose passed away. But when Goose and Maverick were in the water, and Maverick said, I mean, it chokes me up now. When he goes, sir, you got to let him go. You got to let him go. For some reason that resonated with me, and it motivated me as a little boy, because when I was little, I knew I had speech impediments, and I didn't know what learning disabilities were. I didn't know any of that kind of stuff, but I knew if I could find a way to complete that mission in life, that I could really, really do something and special in the world, to be able to save people's lives. And that's what ended up happening. I'm grateful. And I will tell you, there's some guys that go through all this training and all these things, and they never even get a single alert to go out on a mission. I've had way more than I could even ever imagined I would. I mean, I have multiple life-saving rescues, but unfortunately I have many more body recoveries. But that's the way the world works, brother. And then you get called out on a lot of false alarms. I just can't even express the words, man. And I'm sorry you're going to have to do so much editing to this story because I'm all over the place. I'm like a puppy chasing butterflies. It's just like I get excited and I go on a tangent. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying anymore. But all I can tell you is at the end of the day, I'm grateful for absolutely everything. All the
You know,
hurt, all the pain, all the happiness, it's all about freedom, baby. It's all about freedom. It's about the freedom of being a good human being. A good human being and not bowing down to anybody that tells you you can't do something. You can always do something. You can always do anything as long as you believe in yourself.
now I can see why you were a great recruiter, and this is so un-Gen X to say, but if I was there with you right now, man, I would just give you a big old hug.
I'd probably break your back because I'd hug you so much harder, brother. But it's all good. It's all good. You just gotta. I appreciate that. I've been misunderstood my entire life, and it's also a blessing and a curse to be me because I feel everything deeply. But at the end of the day, man, at the end of the day, you just got to be fearless and not worry about what can hurt you, who can hurt you. You just got to believe in yourself, especially when you're not sure if anybody else does. And the way I look at my circumstances is I might have been a little boy that couldn't tell time, but the clock is still ticking and I'm still here and I'm still getting to do wonderful things and collaborate with people and be a part of things that are so much bigger than myself. And that's the thing. As I said, we're all little notes in the big sheet of music, but when you're making harmony with other people, that's what it's all about. That's what living the dream is all about. It's not just about individual success. It's about being the quintessential team member.
Why you gotta go and be like that? Now you're gonna make me tear up.
I'm just grateful to be here, man.
Yeah, I think we all are. I'm grateful too.
You
Listen,
know,
listen. I just want to thank you for your service. I want to thank you for being who you are, sticking to your guns, sticking to your roots, and being an all-American soldier.
oh, thanks, man.
No,
I
yeah, man,
appreciate you.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, stay in touch, brother.
Listen, man, if I do not talk to you before Veterans Day, I want to wish you a very happy Veterans Day, man, and thank you again for all you do.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, man.
You too. You be safe out there, okay?
All right, you take care, bro.
You too. Thank you, AJ.
See you, buddy.
What an incredible story AJ has. We often hear the phrase, thank you for your service. And while those words are sincere, they can't be where our support ends. The men and women who served in our military didn't just clock in and clock out of a 9-to-5 job. They put their lives on pause and sometimes on the line for me, for you, for all of us. They missed birthdays, births of children, holidays, precious moments with their families. And some of them came home carrying invisible wounds that never fully will heal. Take it from me. I'm seeing it from my father. Yes, it's 50 years later, but PTSD knows no time frame. Too many of our veterans, they struggle with access to health care they need. Some have to wait for months, years, or never get it. A lot of them face disability claims that are never processed. They face homelessness, battle unemployment, and battle addiction. All of this despite their incredible skills and leadership experience. We have to support our veterans. This isn't a political issue. It's an American issue. It's about honoring the promises we made to those who honored their commitment to us. We have to advocate for better mental health, better resources, hiring veterans, or simply just checking in on a veteran in our community. We all have to play a role. So this Veterans Day, let's do more than just remember. Let's do more than offer them a free cup of coffee or a meal at a national or local restaurant. Let's do more than just say thank you for your service. Let's act. Let's make sure that our veterans know that they are not overlooked, at least by us Americans. They're not forgotten and they're not alone. So to every veteran listening out there, I say thank you. Not just for your service, but for your sacrifice. I see you. I honor you. Happy Veterans Day. Peace out, everyone. Props for listening.
It's the Gen X marks the spot.